Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Sunday, March 3rd, 2024, on this beautiful Sunday. Just a nice day at home. We're all hanging out. Football's over, of course. We miss that as always. But again, we've talked about it before. We do like having those Sundays back. We got that, time to do stuff. We usually spend it watching football highlights anyways, like we did the last 2 hours, right, Dad?
That's right. It's called homework where I'm from, but we got to get our heads together and figure out what we're going to talk about.
That's right.
It's kind of hard this time in the off season, but there's always something going on. The NFL doesn't stop anymore.
That's true. There's really no off season, even though there is an off season. There's really no off season. Something's always happening.
Combine, and you got people starting rumors, that whole thing. True. So hopefully that's put away.
We watched some combine videos, some cool stuff that we're seeing out there. These athletes, we talked about it. It's insane. These guys are 22 years old. They're younger than me now, so I'm starting to feel that feeling that a lot of people feel, like, oh wow, DeAndre Swift, he's younger than me. It's like, oh wow. And it's just funny watching these kids come out to throw the ball, and they throw 65 yards down the field in the air for 60 yards, and they're like, oh yeah, it was only in the air for 60 yards. That's pretty. And you're like, only, it's so funny. It's the same way field goals have become. There was a time when 50-yard field goal, when you saw it say 50 yards, you were like, oh gosh, like
no way is he going to make that.
This is a 30%, 27% chance he makes it. Now you see 57, and you're like, oh, okay, that's all right, we're good.
We're gonna drink.
Yeah. It's just funny how different it is, and it's the same way with the combine. Now they're running 4.21s. Kid broke the record, and you're just like, oh yeah, 4.21. Wow, yeah, we're there. When are we going to get to the next one? You know what I mean?
We did go through a little bit of that too earlier. How some of these running backs or wide receivers that are doing these 4.2s, 4.21. They don't have a great career either. So it shows you it's not speed. And then you asked me, well, how fast did Jerry Rice run? And, I said 4.5 or something. And you gave me a number.
4.76.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, my God, I think it was 4.71. But, it's not about the speed as, sure, you want to have a fast guy.
But you have to have some speed.
They don't. It's not a career guarantee. You got to have everything else along with it. That's what makes the NFL so amazing, these guys.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and jump into some of the news and some other free agent talk that we'll have. But as always, we want to give a little plug to the club. We are part of the Philadelphia Eagles fan club in Colorado Springs. We meet for every single Eagles game at Frankie's on Powers and Galley. We will be meeting there for the first day of the draft. I forget the date of that, but we will be meeting there. Going to have a good time cheering on who we're going to be drafting and stuff. We only have one pick in the first round this year, which is
not early either. Last year was 9, so we got to it pretty early. But actually 2 last year.
We had 2 picks last year, so it was like, oh, all right, now we got another one.
And even then, it took 3 hours to get to the pick. So
it blows my mind.
Hopefully we can get it in there.
I think I said it last week, and don't worry, don't get me wrong. I like the draft; it's fun, but there are times where I'm just like, how is it taking you 8 minutes? There should be no.
You've had 7 months.
There should when we start the draft at the beginning of this year, there should be no. All right, the Bears, you're on the clock. No. The Bears pick is because it's been 6 months.
Yeah.
Not that long, but it's been 2 months.
They've known
forever.
Yeah.
And especially teams, with the early picks, they've known who they're taking. They're not. They
haven't made a trade yet. Or thinking of a trade.
It bothers me.
Yeah, especially the first pick. It to me, it was always like, what are you doing? Why take all 10?
It's been 8 minutes. What do you need? 8
use
minutes?
2 minutes of it.
Yeah. But as always, so come on down to Frankie's and watch the draft with us, and then next season, come on down and watch the games with us. Let's talk about just some Eagles news. There's only really 2 things I have to touch on. Number one, they released Kevin Byard, of course, safety Kevin Byard. This is going to be saving us $13 million in cap against the salary cap, so that's good.
Huge.
I also think it was smart to cut him anyways because I don't see him contributing very much in the foreseeable future. I don't wish anything upon him. Hopefully he goes somewhere else and does great, but I don't see it happening. He's on the other side of 30, and he didn't show us anything really. He had one good interception in the Chiefs game, really just a bad ball by Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. But other than that, he was terrible. The whole back end was terrible. So I know we can't blame one guy, but it didn't work. He didn't fit in well.
He didn't give us even a fraction of what we were expecting.
No,
we traded, we lost some picks for it, and we just one guy, two picks and one guy, and just,
frustrating.
Got older at the position, didn't get any better.
It was frustrating.
So it's good to save that 13 in cap. Hopefully we can, use that for some signing.
We'll see. Yep.
Extensions.
The other thing I have is not official news, so I'm not saying this is actually happening, but there were reports coming out today that Fletcher Cox will be retiring this offseason at some point. Like I said, it's not news. He didn't announce it. That's why I don't like a lot of these things because, right after the Bucks game, they were like, Jason Kelce, he's done. And then he was like,
tears in his eyes.
And then he was like, what? No. And then everyone's like, oh, he doesn't. He's not sure. And he's like, well, I never said anything. Like, I'm not changing my mind.
So you're going to Baltimore? No, I didn't say. Will you just give me a few days?
Get off of me. It's so true.
Yeah, no.
So like I said, it's not an official report. It's not official, but there are reports coming out saying that it looks like Fletcher Cox will be retiring. I'd rather that than him play for another team.
Yeah.
We've always talked about that. Guys like Kelce, Johnson, Graham, Cox, those four, everyone knows the four key guys,
Right.
You don't ever want to see them wearing a different color. That's just not possible.
But it's funny because we had said it, that Cox was one of the few that we thought maybe he might. I mean, he had a great year last year. We all know that.
Oh, yeah.
Probably our best defensive lineman last year.
Probably.
So, I mean.
At least after the half point, yeah.
In a way, we were kind of hoping maybe one more year because the way he played. And not just that, but the coaching aspect, for him to coach up the young guys and maybe who we get in the draft and who's already been around for a year or two. And just give him, that advice that, even last year, I remember watching him a few times grabbing a guy and get off the field and what are you doing? And, you just need that kind of player out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's been like that for a long time. He's a great leader. He really he took on the role of being a leader. He was young at one point, I remember, but he really grew into that leadership role and he became a vocal leader and and you see it. Like you said, he would grab guys and get, I remember Jalen Mills one time back in 2018 getting in a fight and he shoved him off the field because he was mad. He got a flag and like, what are you doing?
I think it was last year or the year before. He really got mad at somebody. I can't remember who it was, but he picked him up by the scruff of his neck and threw him off the sideline. But just that kind of player. And, he embodies that type of tough player that we need. And, it'd be a shame, like you say, if he did retire because he still has something left.
Definitely.
Especially if we could let him not play 40 snaps a game, But
it's true.
If we could kind of rotate him in like kind of what we did with Graham last year and just we just need this out of you.
Yeah.
We don't need you to carry everything. And, he did a great job last year of it, but we're hoping we'll see what happens. Yeah. Hopefully it's not true.
Yeah. So next thing we're going to talk about, we're going to continue on with our series of position by position with each episode, talking about what we think is going to happen. Last week we talked about safety. This week we're going to group together quarterback and running back. We're going to put these ones together because quarterback's going to be pretty easy, so I didn't want to give it its own episode because it's going to be really quick. And running back's also not even going to be that long either. So starting off at quarterback, let's talk about who we have right now and who's going to be a free agent. So Mariota will be the free agent. We obviously have Hurts and Tanner McKee. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, obviously Mariota's not coming back because Tanner McKee, I think, played better than him in the preseason, played better than him in the season.
He never played, but
he definitely showed he's got what it takes to be.
Tanner McKee didn't even play in the season, and he did play better than Mariota.
But, he definitely showed, especially in the preseason when we were calling for his name, and we got to see it a few times, which is nice. But, Mariota's a good experiment, but thanks for everything. We don't need to spend the $5 million. Let's use it for somebody else.
Yeah, I think Tanner McKee I think he showed us enough to where I'm happy with him being our backup. It's not like he's going to be a great backup. But no, I think we've got enough. Mariota showed us that he's just, I don't know. He never had it, but he just doesn't have it anymore. He never really did have it in the NFL. But
yeah, it's funny because I remember when he came out, we both wanted him so bad.
Yeah, I know. It's funny all Eagles fans did, but that was back in the Chip Kelly days. Yes. That's the thing you have to understand. You got to remember, we still had Kelly. That was 2014, I believe. Right.
And in that kind of offense, we needed that kind of quarterback.
Coach that guy in Oregon. Bring him back. But yeah, it's a good thing we didn't get him because that would have been a whole different history of our franchise. Probably would still be ringless, if we're being honest. But.
So hopefully, we'll pick up another one. But obviously in free agency, I don't want to see anybody drafting anyone at this point. We drafted one last year.
Yeah, I think we're going to draft.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think – because I don't think we should sign any quarterback in free agency. Tanner McKee's the backup. Do not sign him. Because if we sign a guy in free agency, we got to pay him good money. Like,
exactly.
Veterans. If we can grab a rookie or an undrafted rookie and he's our third string, at least we're only paying him – this much,
Right.
very little.
League minimum.
Yeah, of 7th round pick,
Definitely.
So yeah, Mariota gone. I think we're going to be drafting a quarterback. I'm just going to talk about these guys. Obviously, we don't think we're getting any of them, and I hope to God we wouldn't. But I'm just going to say all the upcoming top free agent quarterbacks: Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Jacoby Brissett, Mitchell Trubisky, Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Mariota, of course, Sam Darnold, and Drew Lock. Those are just some names on the free agent market that are going to be coming up. Like I said, I don't expect to have any of them, and we're not saying we want or think we will have them. I just wanted to throw those names out there.
No, that was a good thing, but I'm the same with you. I don't want any of those players. Some of them had somewhat of a career here and there, but no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
All right, let's talk about running backs. So we've got right now DeAndre Swift, Kenny Gainwell, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, and then we just signed that new guy, Tyrion Davis-Price. He was the third-round pick from the 49ers. We signed him on a futures contract, stuff like that. Everyone kind of made a big deal about it.
I know.
It's the biggest futures contract ever.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, I hopefully we can get Swift back. That would be great. Gainwell's going nowhere. Boston Scott, unfortunately, we've talked about him before. Great player, love him, but it's time. And Penny, of course, that's not even funny.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm with you completely.
Time to shut that down and bring in some, bring in some youth, bring in some more guys that you can pick up somewhere.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I would like to have Swift back. I think you're going to bring him. I think they're going to bring him back.
Well, I don't think he's going to be able to demand $10 million a year.
So. I don't know for sure, but I think they're going to bring him back. Gainwell, of course, coming back. Rashad Penny, Boston Scott. Penny, good riddance. Boston Scott, we loved you. We always appreciate you, but I think at this point you're right. The kickoff, until something changes with the kickoff, he has become. They didn't use him. They didn't use him at all.
No,
and if the kickoff doesn't exist anymore, what's his reasoning?
Right.
He was a pretty good kick returner, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
So I just don't think so. I don't think we're going to be getting anybody in free agency. I think we're just going to try to retain DeAndre Swift, and I do think we're going to spend maybe a 4th or 5th round pick on a running back. Which I think you should do.
Yeah, it's never a bad thing. But again, once you get a guy like that, you got him for 3 or 4 years. That's the great thing about him. When you have to sign a free agent, you're only getting him for that 1 year, maybe 2 year contract, whatever you do. But when you do draft that guy in the 4th or 5th round, you have him for several years, let's say.
Yeah.
And you never know, it could be a steal, whatever. But, I don't know how many draft picks we have this year, but I'd like to see us. You always have to do that. You always have to go after somebody. So hopefully
we do have 8 picks, I believe. Yeah, we have 8 picks going into the draft. So that's pretty darn good. It's not an incredible amount, but it's pretty good. And I think we're going to get a running back 5th or 6th round, maybe 4th round, but I think 5th or 6th. That's what we did with Gainwell. He was a 4th round pick, I believe, and then he's been with us ever since. And he's never going to be the number 1 premier guy, but he's been good for our team. Sometimes not so good, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's funny how they. Last year was a funny year, so I don't want to get into it. But
last year's just too special.
I thought he had some traits that we could have used. I like his out of the backfield catching, but again, he didn't really catch that many. So
Gainwell we drafted in 21. He was a 5th round pick.
Okay.
So he's going into his 4th year. So I think
you definitely need to draft one because
I think they're drafting one. Yeah. Here's some of the free agents, top free agent running backs. Again, we don't think we're getting any of these guys, and I don't really want any of them either.
Right.
Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, Cordell Patterson. And
your guy,
Leonard Madison.
So Pollard, I know the name has been kicked around on some of the other Eagle pods I listened to. I think Thomas Mott had mentioned something about getting Pollard, and I thought, no, we're okay.
It is historically and perfectly well documented that any person who once played for Dallas will not play well for Philly. Yeah. It's actually 100% chance they don't play well.
Right.
There's not a single exception really. Right. There's a 0% chance he'll play well for us, basically. Until he does, it's a 0% chance.
He'd be the first.
Exactly. So not a fan of that.
Right.
All these guys, I don't know, Derrick Henry, I just don't know. I don't know how much longer he has.
But Pollard would even be a free agent this year because they just got rid of,
Elliott,
and then he became the guy. And of course, last year he was okay. I don't think he broke any doors down or anything. But
they drafted Pollard in 20, so that makes sense. It's his 4th year.
Yeah, so they didn't re-sign him. I know that, and I know they wanted to, or they were talking about doing it. But
well, after he got hurt, he never really recovered from that injury that he had in that playoff game against the Niners.
Yes.
It just never.
Last year he was not that good. I mean,
it just didn't look the same at all.
Yeah.
I thought he was really great in 22.
Yeah, that 1-2 punch they had.
Oh, yeah, but in 23, he just. He got over 1,000, but he got 1,005.
Yeah,
which is basically same as Swift. He got
1,000 per carry. What 3.8?
4 exactly.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but you're right. It's not special. He only had 6 touchdowns, so I'm not looking forward to him. I don't know if they'll even bring him back, but we'll see. Yeah, Derrick Henry. I don't want him to. I don't think he
too much tread on those.
I don't think he has much more to him.
Yeah,
I know people say man, he's still great, and he is. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know how much longer there is. Saquon Barkley, he's hurt every other day. Josh Jacobs. I don't know. I don't see the appeal.
The thing about Josh Jacobs, I'm not a fan of. But Barkley, I think he could definitely find a position somewhere and just be that home run hitter. Not the everyday grind guy.
Yeah.
He definitely has a special set of skills that he could use, but he's definitely not the one. He's just it doesn't work.
I don't know if
change of pace back.
I don't know if there's any running backs that are number ones anymore.
It's true.
It's kind of weird.
It has changed.
It's just McCaffrey, and after that, it's kind of
it is changed.
There's some, but it's just McCaffrey.
And McCaffrey was this season he got by, but it seems like every other year he's been banged.
That's the thing.
This year he got a lot of carries, a lot of yards.
The running back position is just scary. There just seems it's just injury after injury.
He's got a big contract too, so
yeah.
But if he goes down, then there's that. Who's the guy? I mean, that's the thing. You can't. I don't know. But the NFL has really changed with the running back thing. I mean, of course, last year for us we had 4, and we never really used that. So
yeah,
I don't know where you go.
I don't know. It's true. It's really hard to see. But yeah, Cordell Patterson. Oh man,
he's a change of pace guy too. Like he's a bring him in on third down type guy, just like Barkley probably will be in the rest of his career. But you need that banger. You need that guy that's going to get you 4.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, Cordell Patterson though he's old too. He's 32 now. He'll be 33 in just a few weeks. So he's also kind of on the other side of the age that you like to see, especially for a running back.
For sure.
And he's been playing since 2013. It's kind of,
but he's maintained. I mean, he's definitely. Yeah. I've watched him.
He's dealt with injuries a lot the last few years. Like 2 years, he's missed a game here or there, and it kind of did impede his statistics a little bit. Last year in 14 games, he only had 38 receiving yards and 181 rushing yards.
Okay.
He only had a little over 200 all-purpose yards. Kick return, he had 153 yards, only 7 kick returns.
Yeah, so
he's a
utility player. He's a bring him in on third down.
Yeah. There was a time where he was 1,100 all-purpose total yards from scrimmage. Last year he only had 200. So it's changing a lot. But I don't think we're going to get any of those guys. I think we're drafting there as well.
Yeah,
like 4th or 5th round pick. Take a running back.
It's really the way it should be.
Yeah. I think so too. Take a running back out of Memphis or something like that, or Oklahoma State, or I don't know, something like that. Always grab a guy who didn't play 4 years in college and hasn't been banged up and stuff like that. Right. You know what I mean? Who can catch the ball well, run the ball well, doesn't have to have 2,400 rushing yards in his college career. Just he can do it. He can play football.
I'm with you.
All right, let's talk about some other sports. The 76ers, they won today against the Dallas Mavericks. 120 to 116. A little scary at one moment. Tyrese Maxey went down. He hit his head really hard. Kind of looked a little scary, but he was okay. He came back in, and they held on to win the game. 120. I already said the score. Sorry, 120 116. That brings them to 35 and 25. Right now, it's all about treading above water until Embiid gets back. I mean, that's really all we can ask for at this point. 35 and 25. That's great. Let's keep the winning record, stay above the play-in games so that you don't have to do the play-in tournament, and just hope Embiid gets back as soon as humanly possible. That's what you beat the bad teams, squeeze a few out against the good teams. That's all.
You're 3/4 of the way through the season right now.
But that's all we can do right now is kind of we just have to just get through it. Right. You know what I mean? How many? So that's only 22 games left? Am I doing my math?
I think 21, 81?
82 games.
82, sorry.
35 plus 25, 60. So 22 more games. Yeah. We just got to get out of there with a 500 record, really, and keep us above the play-in tournament, get us the 5th or 6th seed, and we'll go from there.
Right.
The Union, their season has started. They're 0-0-2, so there's 2 ties to start the season. I know Steve's laughing at me somewhere.
Draws, baby. Two
draws. 2 draws in back-to-back weeks. In both games, we scored the equalizing goal in added time, which is pretty crazy. Wow. So we watched the highlights of it in the 96th minute. which there was only 4 minutes of added time.
Right.
But then someone got a yellow card, so it prolonged it. And in the 96th minute, we got
they were probably
corner kick.
30 seconds before that game was called, so they're lucky they banged it in.
Corner kick, the goalie hit it back out, and Bedoya was there to knock it right in. Really good. And then the first week, same thing happened with Gazdag.
Yeah.
He had a goal from a corner kick, and it was like, man, equalizing goals in added time. It's stressful, but I'm sure it's fun. Flyers, they're 32, 23, and 7, still in the playoff picture. 20 more games left in their regular season. Hold on to get in the playoff, and we'll see what happens.
That's right. That's the way the NBA and the NHL are. Just get in the playoffs.
It's true.
You don't worry about home ice advantage, home court advantage. Just get in it. That's what it's all about.
That's true. You're right.
Rest who you can rest, and just get in the tournament. It's been that way for 25 years now or more in the NBA and the NHL.
And then the Phillies have started, of course, in spring training. Things are looking good. Alec Boehm, I think he's been having a really good spring. I know it's hard to base things off of it. I think he's batting a .721 in the spring. That's cool. Yeah. He was 3 for 3 today with 2 RBIs, and he had a home run a few days ago. So, that's great and everything. But hopefully he's primed for a good season because he's one of my favorite players. He's awesome. Boom run,
Boom run. But that's got to be early because preseason exhibition baseball won't end until the end of March, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I think March 21st is when the first game is.
2-3 weeks from now.
Yeah, so we still got a long time to go there, but looking good. That's fun. Next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the season. So we each choose a season in Eagles history, give some player information, some record information, stuff like that, and then we will try to guess the season. Dad, you go ahead and start us off.
All right. Okay, this year is going to be a tricky one for you. We had let's see. I'll go with the record first: 9-6-1. So we did have a tie in this season. We had 3 Pro Bowl reserves, no Pro Bowl starters, which is kind of weird. Usually we've had one. I'll give you their names, but that might throw you off, so I don't want to do that. So we lost the last game, next to the last game of the season, 10-3 versus the Washington Redskins at the time, Commanders. So that was week 16, so that'll give you a little information. The last game of the season, we won big. So that was huge. Got us into the playoffs. That season in the playoffs, we went 2-1 in the playoffs. We won the first 2 playoff games, lost the third, obviously. And in this particular season, I actually went to the NFC Championship game that we made, and we didn't win. So that was kind of a bummer. But let's see what else I got for you. I guess you could probably take a guess at the season here first, and then I'll let you know what else I got here.
So it was a 2008 season.
2008 season is correct.
I knew the moment you said 9-6-1 because we had a tie that year.
Crazy.
We tied the Bengals in week 2 or 3, and that was when Donovan McNabb embarrassed the city of Philadelphia by saying, "Oh, I didn't know there were ties in football." I love Donovan, but dude, I can't believe he did that to us. Oh my gosh.
This was the last season for Jim Johnson as our defense coordinator.
Yep.
It was also the last season of McNabb as our quarterback.
Yes.
And he went, 345 of 571 for 3,916 yards, which is pretty good. That's almost $4,000.
Yeah.
He went 23 and 11 touchdowns, 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. We were second in the NFC East that particular season.
Yeah.
Let's see. The 3 Pro Bowl reserves were Trent Cole, 9 sacks. Brian Westbrook with 14 combined touchdowns, 9 rushing, 5 receiving. And I think I had him about 1,400 yards total that year. And our third reserve was Shane Andrews.
Sean Andrews.
The
guard, right?
Yes, the guard.
Yeah, Sean Andrews.
Who did not really play much for us after that. I believe we got rid of him the next year. We traded him to somebody, or he went and left in free agency. So in week 16, we lost 10-3. It kind of makes you go, wow. So at the time, you were 8-6-1. Man, you're barely going to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
The next week, we beat the Cowboys 44-6 in a blowout victory, which was probably the best win we'd had in many years.
A staple win in our history,
and it was
really.
great because it punched our ticket to get into the playoffs, which I don't think much of us had much of a thought that we were going to do much that year. Although, Westbrook was still playing at a high level. Yeah. So was Brent Selleck. He had was doing well for us as well. Our defense was pretty good. We had some good DBs. B-Doc was with us his last season with us as well.
Yes.
We still had Asante Samuel. And then first week of the playoffs, we played Minnesota. We beat them 26-14. one of the greatest screen passes back then. We had the great screen pass to Westbrook.
Yep.
The week after that was when we beat the New York Giants, who I believe were the division leader. We played them on the road in New York, beat them 23-11. Great game. Samuel had a huge pick early in the game, ran it back, and I think we had a safety against us early on. McNabb held on to the ball for too long and got tackled in the end zone. But Asante intercepted one early, took it back to like the 2-yard line, and we scored a touchdown on that. And then in the NFC Championship game, which was played in Arizona versus the Cardinals.
Yep.
We lost 32-25, and they still had what's his name, Kurt Warner, and
that was just Fitz had 100.
He had three touchdowns
yards against us.
Yes, he had 3 touchdowns against us. And
how many yards was it? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, I didn't write it down. Probably 160,
170, something like that.
It was big. But in that particular, I did buy a ticket to that game, and I was in the stands with my brother. First time I'd ever been to an NFC Championship game. We were in it, but we were behind most of the game.
Yeah.
We ended up going ahead in the fourth quarter. And then the Cards ended up driving and scoring a touchdown late, and then we threw a pick or fumbled it. But it was tough. It was a tough game, but you could tell we were kind of towards the end. The rough thing is Akers, who was our ball guy for the last 10 years, he missed an extra point, which wasn't really that bad, but it would have made it a 3-point game at one point instead of a 4-point game. Okay. And then he missed the field goal, which, that was just awful. So it was a 46-yarder, I believe. And, it was kind of rough. But it was a good year. We went to the NFC Championship game, which we had gone to the 3 in a row, 4 in a row earlier, and then we had skipped a few years, and then we went that year. The bummer that year was Deshaun was in his rookie season, I believe.
Yep.
And he was amazing. He had a big touchdown in that game.
Oh, yeah, where he bobbled it and caught it. That was awesome.
Yeah, yes. Great touchdown. Great. I was in the 500 level seats, so I could see everything. It was amazing. I even recorded it, but I never could find where the tape on when I recorded it.
I remember watching it,
But it was amazing. But let's see. I had we did not have a 1,000-yard rusher. We did not have a 1,000-yard receiver, which doesn't surprise anyone.
Right.
We did have one punt return for a touchdown, and we had one kickoff return for a touchdown. Now, you know who ran the punt back for a touchdown? Deshaun. Yeah. But the kickoff return, what do you think? I think it was Dobbs. Did we have a Dobbs?
No. I was going to guess Westbrook, but...
No, it wasn't Westbrook. No. What was his name? I didn't write it down.
No, I'm not sure either. It wouldn't have been Lethal Shepard either.
No. He ended up Quentin Demps.
Oh,
and I believe he went somewhere else after that.
Houston.
Kind of had a good career as far as kickoff returning.
Yeah.
We had him for a couple of years, but...
Yeah, I remember Demps.
It's an interesting season when you think about it. We had no Pro Bowlers except for reserves, and that's usually guys that don't go to the game because of the playoff or the Super Bowl. We only had 3 Pro Bowl reserves, which is kind of funny when you think about it. But McNabb had a pretty decent season.
Yeah,
but he didn't get picked for it either, and we ended up going to the NFC Championship game and one game from the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, that was that one year that I still think, if we had gone to the Super Bowl that year, we might have had a good chance. We would have been against Pittsburgh, who was a good team. They still the returning team that had won it a few years earlier. But they had a tough time against the Cardinals, and we had a better offense at the time.
Didn't we crush the Pittsburgh Steelers earlier in the season? I think that's one of those seasons
we did
where we beat both the Super Bowl attendees, and you're like, "What? Come on, man!"
We had beat the Cardinals earlier on the Thursday night game.
Yes,
pretty heavily. It was a good, and it was probably in late October, early November that we beat them on a Thursday night game. So it tells you how long ago that was. But it was a good year. I think we got pretty far.
We beat Pittsburgh week 3 that year, 15-6, and then we beat Arizona 48-20.
Yeah, we destroyed
them. We destroyed them.
And then they beat us pretty good in the playoff game.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, it was a fun.
Yeah, well, what's the other most prolific thing about that season that you got to mention?
Well, it was part of the movie,
Thank you. Yep, there we go.
Silver Linings Playbook. Yes. And that's what kind of inspired me because I was listening to a pod about it. But, it's interesting. I did read, though, in the book,
it's 2006.
But in the movie, it was 2008.
Which makes sense because they tell a story. They tell the story of a comeback season.
Yes.
We got there. And that is a pretty thing. And the other thing I wanted to mention about that season, what makes the end of that year so kind of magical is that to go to the playoffs, we had to beat Dallas, but not even just that. we needed two other teams to lose that day. Tampa Bay and Chicago both had to lose that day in order for us to even have a chance.
Right.
They both lost. Then we played Dallas Sunday night game, and whoever won was going to the play. Maybe not Sunday night, but it was afternoon.
I think it was the afternoon game.
Yeah, whoever won that game went to the playoffs as the wild card for the NFC. Because yes, the Giants, they had won the division.
Right.
And it was whoever wins the game, because Chicago and Tampa Bay lost, we're going to the playoffs. So,
like I say,
and then it was great because we killed them.
It was one of those improbable. That's what was great about that season. It was so improbable.
Yes.
Like when you go into a year and you're thinking you're going to do this and you have a great season the year before. The year before we were 7-9, I believe.
Yeah.
In 2007 we were 8-8.
Okay.
And then that year we were 9-6-1.
Yeah.
And the next year we were 11-5 and got knocked out of the playoffs in the first round.
Yeah,
that was a bad year.
Bad year. That's a season we will not cover on this podcast.
That's right. So anyway, there you go.
Okay. All right, my turn. I'm going to take over and say we had 2 Pro Bowlers and 2 first-team All-Pros this year. I won't say the name of the guys because they'll give it away. We were 7-9. It's hard to give too much away. This season was notable for us at least. It's one of the 13 times that this has happened. We scored a 99-yard touchdown. There's only 13 99-yard touchdowns in NFL history.
Okay, so that's not quick.
Not including kick returns. Yes.
That's Jaworski threw a touchdown against the Falcons.
Against the Falcons in an overtime win.
There you go.
Which is incredible because it means in overtime we were on our 1-yard line and we threw the ball and we got a 99-yard touchdown. Isn't that crazy? It's incredible.
But as far as the year goes, man, that would be – I don't think that was in 1980.
It was
1980?
Well, it wasn't 1980, but it's in the 80s.
Yeah, I didn't think it was 1980, but I would say probably 83. It's a guess.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Was 1985.
I was going to say 85, but I thought him and Randall played that.
That's the other thing I was going to point out. So
okay.
We had 2 Pro Bowlers and 2 first-team All-Pros. It was the same 2 people, Mike Quick and Wes Hopkins. They were both a Pro Bowler and first-team All-Pro. And that was the year that was famous for us for being the year that we drafted the ultimate weapon, Randall Cunningham.
Right. So, 85 would have been my first year in Arizona.
Yeah.
Prior to satellite dish games. So back then I couldn't even watch the games. And that kind of messes me up because after 85, probably more like 88, I was able to watch every game every week.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't even go to the bar back then and watch the games. And living in Arizona, you were on the 10-minute ticker. Yeah. And it's crazy. I think I've told you this before, but there was a sports line you could call into every half hour to get a score. But all you would get is the score. Yeah. They'd say, Green Bay 7, Philadelphia 14, 3, and that's all you got. You didn't get anything, and then you'd had to wait till after the games were over to get. And this is even, I believe they had prime time at the time, so you're on the ESPN, back. You got Chris Berman doing his thing, but that was it. I mean, it was really rough to do that. So, normally I'd be able to tell you, okay, that was game 3 of the season or game 5. I couldn't tell you that because I wasn't able to watch those games.
Yeah,
and they were strictly watching a highlight reel, and then I used to tape them a lot of times too, so I could watch, later, rewatch them. Of course, nowadays Sports Center's on every 5 minutes, so you can watch it 10 times. But back in those days, they did primetime, and primetime was the only show that did kind of a 5-minute blurb on your game.
Yeah,
you didn't just get one highlight and you're gone. Mm. They would kind of build it up, which was the greatest thing in the world for us. People that were living out of state from our team.
From our team, yeah.
Until the satellite world came in, which I didn't get a satellite till 94. But we did find out about going to the bar in 90.
Yeah.
We started, me and my brother and my sister would go to the bars to watch the Eagles every week. And it was great, but you had to spend money. You had to get there early to get your TV, to get the sound, because the other TVs get drowned out. And then, of course, the place we used to go, it was just a big open area. You didn't really get to pick. They had rooms. They had a Browns room. They had a Broncos room. They had a Packer room. So if you're playing the Packers, you get in that room, and they had a big screen, one of those horrible big screen TVs back then. But it's 1985, huh?
1985, yep.
Remember that.
Big year. We drafted Randall. We had it wasn't the 13th, but it's one of the 13 99-yard touchdowns. Really cool to Mike Quick, who was such a great.
That's a great highlight, too.
Great player and a great play. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, buddy, you got anything else, brother?
Not really, no. That was Pretty interesting, though. I love going back to those old games and trying to remember a season and things like that.
Now I got to watch Silver Linings Playbook and Invincible.
Yeah.
Talked about Invincible a few weeks ago. Now I want to watch
That's
it.
true.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and say our goodbyes here. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe below and comment maybe your guess on the Eagles season before we say all this stuff. But it's too late now. But
Well, if you have a favorite season, drop it in there.
Drop it in there. Maybe we can talk about it and we'll throw it at each other. Yeah, that'd be really fun.
I still have a few more that I want to get to.
Oh, yeah, no, we got a lot more things. We're going to be doing some lists, player lists, season lists, talk more about seasons, cover some other teams' history, stuff like that.
When they got the draft coming up.
Of course, we're going to do in the draft. We'll talk about some mock drafts or just guys that we think that we're going to pick, stuff like that.
I won't do a mock draft, but I will.
I'm not going to do a full one, but I'll talk about here
player
and there.
they talk about us getting.
Yes, yeah. But other than that, from all of us here at our Eagles Therapy podcast, my name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.